All right, Elam, we are live, sir. And this is what I would call maybe like an emergency podcast, in that you've been on the show before. We heard your incredible story. You grew up in the Amish community. You're now a hospitality entrepreneur. You've built a really cool, impressive portfolio of short-term rentals. And you sent me an email a couple days ago and you said, dude, the craziest thing happened. I just got kicked off Airbnb and I just lost like 200K in booking reservations. And I was like,
I mean,
we
it's something like that. It was,
a
I don't
crazy
know the
amount,
exact amount, but
a
it was in
crazy
the
amount.
six figures.
Yeah, a crazy amount, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, well, we have to get you on the show to hear the story. So I want to hear, and the reason why, just so we're really, really clear, the reason why I think I want to hear this story is there's a lot of people that are listening to this podcast that have strong opinions on sort of direct booking strategies one way or the other, right? There's a lot of folks who, myself included, have mad respect for Airbnb as a company and as an operation. They've done so much for the industry, right? But every once in a while, you hear these kind of crazy, seemingly fringe stories, but we'll discuss how fringe they actually
Horror
are.
stories.
Horror stories, right? Of
Yeah,
folks who've built an entire business on top of the platform, and then overnight their business is essentially canceled, right? Their
yeah.
portfolio is kicked off. So I think that this story is very important because, one, I just want to hear what actually happened. But then two, my hope is that this might be encouragement for folks listening who have become very, very, very reliant on Airbnb, that maybe having a little bit more of a diverse channel strategy is is necessary. So take us back to like the very beginning. Like, what can you tell us about what happened before you found out that you were kicked off Airbnb?
Yeah. And you had a bunch of questions, and I can kind of like nail three of them at the same time
Wonderful.
because it's a very straightforward, answer to some of it. But what happened? So March 19th, I will never forget the day as long as I live. I don't think. I wake up and all our listings are suspended,
Hmm.
and I'm like, what?
Huh.
I mean, we've had a listing or two suspended before where, maybe there was problems, you address the problem, you move on.
Yeah.
Except, and this kind of ties into the story, but it's its own isolated thing. Like a month or so, 2 months before, we had a guy stay at our property that after he left, our cleaners called me up or messaged me and said, hey, I don't know what was going on here, but I'm suspicious there was sex trafficking.
Whoa.
I'm like,
Whoa.
good grief, that's awful. Like,
Jeez.
I would do anything to avoid it.
Yeah. Jeez.
Like if I think someone's going to do it, I mean, no way you're not staying in her place.
Yeah.
Um,
Jeez. Yeah.
So again, we didn't have hard evidence, but then we did the right thing. We went to Airbnb and said, hey, we are suspicious of this person being involved in sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And we also reported it to the authorities, and it's just like, okay, we did our job, move on.
You did everything right. Yeah.
Right. And even Airbnb policy says, and I don't know if this is verbatim, but it's really close. If you have any suspicions about sex trafficking, then you should report it. That's not verbatim, but it's very, very close.
Yeah.
Actually, it might be verbatim, but anyway, it's really close. So, and we did that. We did what Airbnb asked. I don't remember the exact time frame, but shortly after that, they suspended that listing.
Jeez. And what was and did they give any justification? Because again, you guys did the right thing, right? You had
Correct.
a suspicion.
So
you didn't have hard evidence. Yeah.
The word that I have seen Airbnb use over the last since the beginning of the year, it's just been a fiasco after fiasco with Airbnb. It's super frustrating. And the word they use is investigation.
Yeah.
You can justify anything with investigation.
Yeah.
We are investigating, right?
Yeah.
And then about 2 weeks later, I either got a call or a message from Airbnb saying, hey, the investigation is complete. We need you to disclose that you have cameras on the property. I already have that disclosed.
Yeah.
Or it was something along those lines.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say that it records 24/7.
Huh.
Well, one, it doesn't.
And
Two,
is that the
nowhere in
policy?
your
Yeah.
policy
Yeah.
does it say we have to say that. It
Yeah.
says you have to disclose that it's there and where it is.
Yeah.
Does it say anything about recording? I'm not sure exactly what it says, but it doesn't say 24/7.
Yeah.
At least back then it didn't. So it was just, and I could tell the customer support person was kind of had their back against the wall, but she
Mm.
needed to wiggle through this whole thing, make me do stuff so that she could push a button to go live with the listing again.
Wow.
It just seems so like
So
we did what we were supposed to.
yeah.
They kicked us off, or
Yeah.
that one listing,
Yeah.
right? That was a listing ban that's different from an account ban,
Yeah.
which. So anyway, so then March 19th. So this was about 2 months later.
Yeah.
I'm like, was it because of that?
Yeah. But wait, hold on. Let me just back up a little bit. So they said, "Hey, we can turn your account, we can turn your listing live once again. You just need to update your disclosure, be a little bit more specific, I guess, right? Of saying they record 24/7." But did they say anything about like, "Hey, law enforcement has completed their investigation?" Was there any sort of like communication that, "Hey, we were waiting for the local, the sheriff's department or whatever to get in there to do their investigation. It took them 2 weeks. Now they say like, we've gotten what we need from this particular place. Moving on, Elam and team are good to list again." Was there any sort of communication around that, or like did you at this point did you have any clarity on whether or not there was still local law enforcement that needed access to your place for whatever
No,
reason?
I don't think there was any kind of local law enforcement. I don't think that was involved. In fact, a time or two they asked me for video evidence.
Yeah,
I didn't have it.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Because you weren't
inside
recording
the
twenty four
building.
seven.
Like
Yeah,
you'd be kicking me off the platform if I have it inside the building.
yeah,
I mean, you're asking me for stuff I don't have.
yeah. Wow.
And actually looking back, if I would have had video evidence of the property,
Yeah,
that they would have hard proof that it did happen on the property,
yeah,
would that have played in my favor or against me?
yeah. Probably against you. I mean,
I have very little
yeah,
indication to think it would have played for me
yeah.
because
Jeez.
I did everything right,
Yeah,
and then Airbnb took us down or
yeah.
that listing,
Wow. Okay, so that happened in like you said, like January, like mid January, or
something like that.
no,
Yeah,
like mid January, right? So then
right around there.
March 19th happens. And what happens on the morning of March 19th?
Nothing except I get up and start work for the day, and I get a message from someone say, "Hey, why is this listing down?" And I go in, they're all down.
Wow.
So then I did a quick test. I created
Yeah.
a new listing
Yeah.
just to try it out. That was like, so okay, this is an account wide thing.
Yeah.
Everything in my account is suspended. Like I
Jeez.
can't create a new listing. Even later, then I found out, wait, I can't even travel.
You can't even use the platform as like a guest.
Correct. Nothing.
So was there an email? Was there a phone call? Like
Nothing.
nothing, literally nothing.
Nothing.
So they just
Like
say
if I wouldn't have checked my account, or
you wouldn't have known.
I wouldn't have known. Nothing.
Jeez. Okay, so what happens next? I assume you reached out to somebody.
And to your question, was there a warning? Nothing.
No warning. And again, in January, this incident happens, right? You comply in all the right ways that you should.
Yeah.
You update your disclosure, description, if you will, even though you weren't doing anything wrong there, just to be very, very clear, right?
No, I wasn't.
And
I
and
mean,
then,
should I have hosted that person? No.
but did you have any indication ahead of time that there was something weird about this person?
No.
Yeah. So and again, people like you who've got large portfolios,
The
you can't.
only the only thing going back is it
Yeah.
was a bit of a more last minute booking, but we get them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, okay, it's a last minute booking, just kind of keep your eyes peeled a little bit. But
Yeah.
like,
Jeez.
did it cross my mind he would do something like that?
Yeah.
No. And to be clear, we don't actually know if he did.
Exactly, right? Like there's been you have no clarity on what actually happened.
We
You
were
just had a
just
suspicion.
suspicious.
Yeah,
Correct.
and again, like once again, you guys did everything right. Your team saw something. They're like, this is weird. They reported it in the
Correct.
channels that you're supposed to report it in. You did, and then you wake up. The listing is suspended, which maybe you guys can justify, right? As a team, you can understand, like, okay, hey, maybe there was something weird here. Let's get this. It makes sense for a temporary suspension so that if law enforcement has to get involved or whoever has to understand get access to the property to do whatever they need to do, right? They have the time to do that. But that should be a very temporary thing, which it was. They turn it back on, and then you guys think everything's fine, you're in the clear, and then literally 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, the entire account is suspended. All of your listings are gone, and nobody has communicated anything to you.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No warning. Nothing. By the way, let me just step back to this thing. Um. Here, let me just. But so stepping back to that a little bit.
Yeah,
So what we could do
yeah,
is to do ID checks, ID
yeah,
verification or background checks, right? We could do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But would we get away with that? No, not as understand Airbnb policy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So don't check people out.
yeah.
But if you don't,
This happens.
I,
And
I
we
don't
don't even know
know.
what that is. Yeah, we don't even know what this is.
I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, yeah. For all we know,
Um,
there could have been something, funky going down that wasn't illegal at all, right? I mean, like, who knows, right? Who knows?
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what happens next? Like,
So anyway, then the March 19th, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
no warning. And by the way, could Airbnb argue that there was warning? The only thing I can
yeah,
ever think of is on occasion, like with a damage claim or something, they'll say, "Oh no, this was not right. We're making a note of this on your account." Blah 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 blah. But it's kind of like, okay, what does that mean?
yeah. Like,
And
so,
half their messages are automated messages.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And even at times, well, you said this. Oh, that was a mistake, or they'll say something like that, and it's like you have no idea what to believe,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, and
or
it,
even what it means. Like it's like it lacks substance. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I could be missing something, but it's just I have no idea. So all I'm saying there is, at the minimum, it would have been like an automated message or something weird over like happenings over the last number of years.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, no, like
But
nothing.
those are very common, right? Like you request, a guest does something to the couch or the table, you put in a request, it gets denied, right? People make a note of it, whatever. Like that's very, 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 very common. So sure, your account probably has lots of little notes of like, hey, over the last however many years you've been doing this, right? Like there have been incidents that you've reported, and some have passed and some haven't, and that's okay. Like that's all part of this business, right? That's
Yep,
very much to be expected.
yep,
But with something like this, right, when you're going to suspend not just a listing, but someone's entire portfolio, someone
correct.
who this is your business, like
This is my livelihood.
this
This
is
pays the
this is your
bills.
livelihood, yeah, right. With no in a context like this, there should absolutely be a very clear process for communication with the host, right? Of hey, this is what's happening. This is why we're doing this
Correct,
in order to remedy the situation, you've got 30 days or whatever it is. And in 30 days, if this doesn't happen, right, we're kicking you off the platform. But the
correct,
fact that, again, all you did was the right thing by reporting some suspicious activity that could have or could not have happened in one of your listings, right?
yep,
That's all you did. And then no communication, suspension of a listing, and then suspension of your entire account. And to date, what? So it's May. We're recording this on May 29th right
yep.
now.
It's 2.5 months.
2.5 months, and no communication, no clarity, nothing.
No, there's been clarity given by now.
Okay,
But
so
in the
what?
beginning, so here's the additional thing that was frustrating. So,
Yeah,
or it can be frustrating, is a couple of years ago, I'm hearing horror stories, and I'm like, what if this ever happens to us?
yeah,
So I call up Airbnb, which the only access that you have is to their customer support. or at least the only easily and available access.
Yeah.
Everything else is behind all these barriers or no response or whatever. And I grilled in a very friendly way
Yeah.
one of their customer support people and say, I hear these stories. How do I know that's not going to happen to me?
Yeah.
And yeah, so
And what
the
did the
the
person say?
person did say, and now I have no proof for it because I didn't record the
Yeah.
Airbnb has the recording. I don't.
Yeah.
But it was essentially this. No, we will never do that without giving you a fair warning and giving you a chance to make things right.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Okay,
Which that's very reasonable. That's
that's
very
very
reasonable.
reasonable.
Yeah.
But that was not the case. They're like, literally, I talked to people like, surely Elam, somewhere in your emails you lost. I went back. I looked everywhere. There was no email. I even went to Airbnb
Wow.
and said, did you send an email?
Yeah.
And then their customer support person goes in and looks. Oh yeah, we did. We sent you an email that your listing has been unlisted. No. That was an automated message
Yeah.
after I created a new listing and then unlisted it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh my
Nothing,
gosh.
absolutely nothing. And then hours and hours and hours on the phone, customer support person after customer support person asking what is going on. The best, like the most I got was like, there's an investigation and it's about offsite payments.
Huh.
I mean, I know Airbnb policy on offsite payments,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? What? Now, one person did then eventually email me saying that it's a technical glitch.
Okay. This is getting juicier and juicier by the second. So
It's a
first
technical glitch, and I'm
it's a
like,
technical glitch
okay.
for all 15 plus of your listings.
Well, it could be an account glitch, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, an account glitch. Okay, that's fair.
Okay. All right. All right.
Which, would get
Well,
resolved very quickly. Like,
yeah,
within a 24 maybe 48 hours. Like,
you would think,
yeah.
but I don't know. But it's like, okay, you said this, and you said this, and you said that, and you said this, and you didn't say anything, and here I am, and I have no idea what's going on. And you said it's offsite payments.
Where's
What
your
do I
proof?
believe?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a bunch of different, even the thing, do I set up another account and start over?
Yeah.
Airbnb has some policies against that, but it's like, depending how you look at it, it can be like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about?
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
so you try to get this resolved. You don't get a lot of clarity. They're sort of giving you sort of like the runaround, right? Could
right.
be this, could be this. Oh, we sent you this email. Well, no, that email has nothing to do with this actual thing. This happened after, and let me show you why, and let me explain this to you. Uh, at what point do you finally get on the phone with somebody, or get an email from somebody that helps provide some more context as to what happened here?
Yeah. So, and then about a month, I think it's about a month later, and the only communication I got up to
Yeah,
that point was
yeah,
me digging and clawing,
yeah,
and most of it was just, oh, I will escalate this.
yeah,
It's and trust me, escalate from an Airbnb customer support person.
yeah.
I haven't seen it mean anything. Maybe
Yeah,
it does, but
yeah,
it didn't seem that way to me. So
yeah,
you're literally there with your hands tied, clueless,
yeah,
and being whacked around.
yeah,
Um, and you asked the question too: did Airbnb give a timeline?
yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
But
Nothing
anyway,
like,
I was starting to say about a month later, then they
yeah.
finally went, and so there's a shadow ban where they kind of like put everything on hold. You
Okay.
can't take on new reservations.
Okay.
You can continue with your old. You can communicate everything's normal. Other than you
Yeah.
can't take new reservations.
Got it. Got it.
Then about a month later, they killed everything, canceled all the
Wow.
reservations, killed my account, and they said the reason was because I damaged or stole from a recent host.
That you did?
Yes. So I'm now a thief, right? We're kicking you off the platform because, paraphrasing, because you are a thief.
What?
Yeah.
What? And was there any validity to that? Like, have you like meaning like was there did you had you stayed somewhere recently and had an altercation with the host or
No.
something like?
So my
No.
question was, which of those reservations that I never made was that for? Now I had traveled a couple months before,
Yeah.
but I'm like, there wasn't any, there was no issues.
Yeah.
They also did send another email.
Okay.
Um, by the way, later I asked about that. It's like, well, I was like, oh, you can ignore that. That was a mistake or something.
That was a mistake that we called you a thief because you apparently stole something from a host, even though you are again like a seasoned Airbnb host, a professional property manager and operator, and you because you stole something, your account is suspended.
And let's say I did steal something. Let's say I did.
Yeah,
A $10 item.
yeah,
Okay, fine me $20.
yeah,
But to
yeah,
kill, like to
yeah,
kill the entire account, are you kidding me? Now they
yeah.
did send me another email, and it was something along the lines submitting false claims and falsifying invoices.
Okay, interesting. False claims. Let's start there.
So really, the issue is, and we figured this out.
Yeah,
I got an attorney involved,
yeah.
spent thousands of dollars,
Jeez, yeah.
and so he talked with their attorney. So it cost me $5,000 to find out what happened,
Jeez, jeez.
and even that lacks specificity. It's
Wow.
just a blanket statement. So submitting false claims and falsifying invoices, and then as in submitting invoices that weren't legit
Yeah,
or something or whatever. Does that
yeah,
mean tweaking them? I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
And then the other thing was not returning security deposits.
Huh. Okay.
So the truth is,
Yeah.
yes, we do collect security deposits, and
Yeah.
sometimes, rarely, but sometimes we don't return them
Yeah. If there's been
because
damage to the property or if
what's
the
a
guest
security
hasn't followed.
deposit for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Secondly, falsifying invoices.
Yeah.
All of the claims that we have submitted, it's like, here's a picture of the damage,
Yep.
and boom. Could you argue that that's not damage? Okay, whatever. And I'll give you an example. There was one, and it was a pretty big claim
Yeah.
where the guy burned a hole in our countertop.
Jeez. Jeez.
The picture could arguably be like from a person who's not involved and just looks at, oh, it's just dirt, wipe it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here I submit a multi-$1,000 claim,
Yeah.
but that wasn't the only thing I submitted a claim for. The guy did a bunch of damage, and I actually feel like I should have charged more,
Yeah.
right?
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
at
just
the worst, it's a
yeah.
misunderstanding.
Yeah. At the absolute worst. Yeah. On
It
that
is
note,
not a false claim.
yeah. And on that note, right? Did they end up reimbursing you? Like, back then for that particular claim? Did
They
you
did for that
receive?
claim.
So they did, right?
They
So they,
did, and they acted like they're doing me a favor.
yeah,
And here's a warning: if you ever do this again, this is after I'm suspended.
yeah, and you're also
You gave me a warning, but not ahead of time.
yeah, and you're also like, wait a second, what is this like, host this quote unquote host guarantee good for if it's not good for this
Yeah.
insane damage that was done to my property? And
So
again,
my
if there,
simple response to that is, I could say some things about it, but I'm going to refrain because of
yeah,
publicity.
yeah, that makes sense. That's fine. But one of the things I also just don't understand is there not a like, let's say the claim again, I'm not a host myself, so I don't know how these things work, right? But like, let's say you submitted a claim for $7,000 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? For all this damage. Is there not, if there's suspicion on Airbnb's side of things that, hey, maybe this is a false claim or maybe this is a little bit of an exaggerated claim, whatever it is there not a process by which they can further inspect? Like, can they get on a call with you? Like, can they FaceTime? Can they have you show, like, no, look, guys, there is a freaking hole burned into my countertop, right? Check it out, right? Do you want to send an inspector out? Like, do they not have, I guess, levels of verification before they go to such an extreme to just shut down
They
your
asked
account?
me for additional photos, and I submitted additional photos,
Yeah, and they ended up giving it to you.
and they're giving to me,
Wow.
which they should have.
Yeah, I know, but like that therein lies that makes this whole case, if you will, all the more complicated and all the more interesting. Is you would assume, right? If they were still suspicious for whatever God only knows reason, they wouldn't have cut you the check. So they cut you the check, they suspend you, and so okay, as when your lawyer gets
But
involved,
but
like
but but th- there's certain levels where I can understand from Airbnb's perspective. I get it,
yeah, yeah,
right? So they have their claims team and they have
yeah,
their attorneys, and it's a huge company, and
yeah,
it's hard for them to stay cohesive. I
sure,
get it.
sure, but that's their problem. Yeah, yeah,
Well, sure, it is their problem, but at the same time, I understand. I just
yeah,
wish they would understand my end.
yeah,
Like it's literally is a one-sided decision. There's nothing. Sure, they gave me an opportunity to appeal. I appealed it. Um, and now they're
wow,
asking for additional information, and I'm like, I'm not sure what to give you.
yeah,
I gave you all the information. Now
yeah,
they're asking for proof of payment and different things like that. Okay, whatever, I can give you that.
yeah,
But it's a whole convoluted mess.
yeah,
Um, so my essentially it boils down to it's a little bit of a complex situation,
sure,
and it's going to be hard to fight in court.
yeah,
So it's a
and like
right versus might. Airbnb has the might; they
yeah,
can win. And after kind of going into it, and then my attorney, a great guy. I mean, I paid him thousands of dollars, and I want to write him an email one of these days, just saying, look, it cost me thousands of dollars, but I met a great person in the process. It was worth it.
yeah, yeah,
uh,
jeez.
but yeah, he was just like, I'll fight for you, but I don't think I can win it.
Yeah, it's the small, hospitality entrepreneur going against the, mega,
Yeah,
multi-billion dollar publicly traded company that
yeah,
has all the resources in the world.
yeah.
So so just so I'm clear on this too, so they say they suspend your account because they say, hey, maybe there have been fraudulent invoices, maybe some of your claims are exaggerated, whatever it is. You get on the phone with them, you give them additional evidence. They end up paying you for these claims anyways, but then they still shut down your account. Like was there what additional justification did they have? Was it basically just like, hey, we just think that you're a headache? Like let's just stop. Like we can't, our customer support team can't talk to you anymore. Like what
Well,
why did they then still shut you out? Like, did you get any more clarity on that? Or is it just like, hey, you're still shut out because we are still a little bit suspicious of whatever it is that's going on, and we just need more time to like figure this out?
no,
What was
I'm
the justification?
pretty much done. You're suspended for life. You can never get
Wow.
back on the platform.
Wow. Even though and the evidence that they delivered from what you've shared, right,
Well, they
is
didn't provide any evidence other
they
than
didn't
you
provide any.
did this.
Yeah. And then when you said, "Oh no, but here's this," they saw that. They even paid you for they still reimbursed you for the claim, and then they still just kicked you off.
Well, so okay, understanding from their standpoint, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, through January, February, or January through March, we just had so many like whatever. What's going on? Why is everyone damaging property? One
Yeah.
guest spilled something on our $2,000 pool table
Yeah.
and
Jeez.
stained the cloth.
Yeah.
Well, that takes $600 to replace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we don't
Yeah.
replace it, and the next guest
Guess
comes
comes.
along and complains about stains, Airbnb is going to refund them all their money.
Yeah. You're you're gonna
I
you're
can't
gonna get
win.
like you're gonna get a 2-star review. They're gonna get a full refund. You're gonna get nothing and have been out, thousands of dollars for that week or
Yeah,
whatever. Jeez.
it just feels like an impossible
Wow.
situation. So that is, I think, what again. I do not have proof, but I'm suspicious.
That the number of
And
requests.
then and I get it. A flag went up
Yeah.
in the Airbnb system. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What's
then
going
the
on?
flag went up, and then the customer support person, well, there's a flag, so there must be something wrong.
Yeah.
And then, oh, the customer support person said there's something wrong. And it just becomes an echo chamber.
Well, yeah, and then what happens, right? Right, somebody says, "Oh my
Again, this is
gosh."
my guess. I do
Sure, sure,
not
sure.
know.
100%, right? And then it's like, "Oh, there's these flags. Wow, he's submitted a lot of invoices. What's going on here?" And then there's like, "Oh, wait. this person's tied to this one account that we had to suspend 2 months ago because there might have been some weird, like, business going on. Like, I can hear the conversation happening, right, around the customer
We
support
do
team
not know,
at Airbnb,
but
right?
we can
Again,
only
you have
speculate.
yeah, and you have no idea, they have no idea, but, like, they see that, and any human, right, it just you can understand how they jump from one thing to another, even without evidence, right? And they just decide, "Hey, again, this is, Elam's great, whatever, but he's, one in a million, right? Like, we don't need him on the platform. Like, let's just kick him off, right? And it's no pain, right? At the end of the day,
I
no pain,
mean,
no pain for them.
Airbnb wants to make money, and maybe I was costing too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, uh,
For doing like the things that you should do, though, doing things that were well within their policy.
Correct.
Wow. So I have to ask.
Well, and then there's another metric, and I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is the case. Again, I don't have evidence, but it makes sense. Is of course Airbnb's number one metric is profitability, right? The
sure,
second most important metric is guest satisfaction.
sure, sure.
And I will be fully transparent and honest. Having a security deposit, an off-platform security deposit, brings its own headaches, and occasionally people will call Airbnb and complain,
Yeah,
justified or not.
yeah, yeah,
You don't need to be justified to complain as a guest to Airbnb.
yeah,
You just need to complain
yeah,
and something to
yeah,
complain about.
yeah,
Um, and that can then put a flag on your account. Now I
yeah,
know this.
yeah,
And they would say stuff like that in the past, and I'm like,
yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like, give me some more specifics. Is it within the policy to have an off-platform security
Yeah,
deposit?
so guests are not supposed to, I mean, hosts are not supposed to do it,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
if you're an API connected host,
Okay.
as in you have software integrated with them.
Yep. Like,
That
you're
is
using a
what their
PMS or
policy
something. Yeah.
says.
Yeah. Which you guys do.
Correct. So we did
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah.
are there some of those where people did damage, and maybe we just yanked the security deposit and maybe didn't even really explain a lot, where
Yeah.
we don't have evidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't. Maybe we're justified, but we don't have evidence. There's
Yeah.
probably some cases like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and unfortunately, we can't win that in court.
Yeah. Jeez.
So that's
Wow.
the sucky part.
Yeah. So
And yeah, and what makes it really difficult is they not only kicked me off, they kicked my wife and
wow.
some other people that were connected to us.
Wow.
Everyone's kicked off for
Wow.
life, banned.
Wow. Jeez. So, like, it's, been a couple of months now since the initial, you know, account suspension and account cancellation. Where's your head at? Like, what are you thinking? Like, this is your business, right?
Yeah,
Like, you're a hospitality entrepreneur. You own and manage really cool vacation rentals. Like, you've poured your life into this over the last several years, right? Where are you at? Like, are you like bullish on direct bookings now? Are you trying to get on Verbo? Like, are you looking at other
so
OTAs? Like,
we
talk to me
had
about where you're at.
we were on some of the OTAs. It's tough. We're pushing it, and I don't know. We
Yeah,
are trying to decide what to do moving forward. I mean, it's 2.5 months later. It's like, we're hemorrhaging money,
yeah.
and we only have a little bit of runway left, and it's like we got to do something.
Jeez.
So, had I seen this coming and then, develop more of a direct booking, strategy,
Yeah,
but that can take half a year to a year to really get really, really strong.
yeah,
We don't
yeah,
have a year of runway to mess around.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
doesn't mean we don't have other options like Verbo, Booking.com,
yeah,
TripAdvisor, you name it. There's other options, right?
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
But Airbnb has the brand. Um,
Airbnb has the brand.
yeah,
Yep.
they've
We're
got
probably getting about
the
80% of our
demand.
revenue from them.
Yeah, jeez. So 80% of your revenue from one channel, and then that channel just gets shut off literally overnight.
Yep.
I have to say, just for our listeners too, like, this is one of those stories, right, that you read about occasionally in, like, the news or I'm very, plugged into the hospitality entrepreneurship
But you
community,
don't
right?
really like it doesn't become personal.
No, it doesn't, and it feels like a very, very fringe case, and it, doesn't feel like you maybe this host just did all the wrong things. Maybe they were terrible, like, maybe they should have been canceled and or, suspended, but, like, I don't know you that well, Elam, but, like, we had a great chat. You're an incredibly honest person. I have nothing but very, very kind things to say about you. I've seen, your work in preparation for our first interview. I was looking through your reviews and your listings. Like, I mean, you're a proper entrepreneur, and you're building a great business. And this is one of those situations where it's like, shoot, right? I say all the time on the pod, like, I think direct bookings, right? Like, people spend way too much time thinking about trying to build up their direct booking strategy. People spend way too much time thinking about their website. And reality is, for most people, Airbnb is like the place to just invest your time. And yet, it's moments like this where I'm like, I bite my tongue a little bit, and I think, dang, like, if you're building a business here, like a true business, a true property management business, if you're owning and operating these short-term rentals, and you don't have a plan B, a path B, it really can shut your business down overnight, and
Okay.
that's
Okay.
tragic, man. So what are like
Yeah, so
you're
it
you're you're a
remains.
resilient person. You're a resilient person, and I know from our conversation, right? You have great ideas. You're not you come from good stock. You're an entrepreneur, by trade, and you're a positive guy. You're an optimist. I'm sure in this
Try to
moment
be.
everything is working against you.
Yeah.
Literally everything, right?
Yep.
Um, what are you thinking? Like, what's the plan?
So I'm reading a book right now. The obstacle is the path.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
And at first, when I was reading it, it's like, okay, great. You can turn any obstacle into an opportunity. But
yeah.
that is not the message.
Mm,
They are very, I feel like they're very realistic. And that wasn't in the first part of the book, but now
yeah.
I'm like three-quarters way through. And
Is
I'm
this
like,
Ryan Holiday, by the way?
huh?
Is this Ryan Holiday? Is he the author
Yes,
of this book?
yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I love Ryan Holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And so, partway through the book, he talks about you can't win everything. Sometimes you need to pivot.
Mm, mm,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
I have a lot of ideas, but it's like, what is it going to take?
yeah. Jeez.
You know, I'm in hot water.
Yeah,
I'm not going to deny it.
yeah,
And I got to figure something out because we have mortgages to pay. We have
yeah,
utility bills. We have team members. And
yeah,
it's not all clear on what we're going to do. And I shared my vision with you,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm
You did.
and so I'm a praying person, and I
Yeah,
believe in God, and I'm like, you gave me this vision,
yeah,
but it ain't happening.
yeah,
What do I
yeah,
do? And
yeah.
people have asked me, have you gotten angry at God? No, I have not.
Mm, yeah,
My faith in God has gotten stronger,
yeah,
and this is what I've been telling people. You have your financial, you have your spiritual, you have your emotional, you have your marital, you have your relational, all those different areas of your life.
yeah.
And I said, all areas of my life right now are getting stronger except financial.
Mm, yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm like, I'm deeply grateful,
yeah. Wow.
to the point of tears.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Uh,
it's kind of tear jerking right
yeah,
now.
you're getting emotional. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
it
Yeah,
really
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Um, and then I look at, you know, people who've gone through divorce. When you
yeah,
go through a divorce, it cuts at the core of your person.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like, I'd rather go through this
yeah,
than, a divorce. I have an
yeah,
amazing wife and amazing kids.
yeah,
It hurts. And it does, and I'm just going through this whole thing. If anything, it's like the last thing, if this goes really, really, really south, the last thing is I do not want my kids to suffer.
yeah,
So far, they're not,
yeah,
but it's a matter of runway.
yeah,
So, what's the plan of attack?
yeah,
I have some ideas. It's like, well, maybe maybe my time in the short-term rental industry as an operator, as a property owner, property manager is done. Maybe it is.
Mm. Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
maybe the next step is to help people.
Mm.
Maybe one of the things is to help people navigate, even prevent. But even that's like prevent what happened to me. Here's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
There's one guy I talked to. He says, Elam, I didn't get suspended one time, not two
Mm.
times,
Mm.
6 times.
Jeez. Jeez.
And actually,
Yeah.
it wasn't only a suspension; it was a ban, I think, too.
Wow.
And one of them was as trivial and as simple as um, a guest overstayed.
Mm-hmm.
The cleaner shows up, didn't realize the guest is still there, walks in.
Yeah.
Guest's mistake.
Yeah.
Guest gets mad,
Yeah.
calls Airbnb, the whole account down, done.
Jeez. Jeez,
He was
man.
able to get
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah. Yeah, but
But
it's yeah.
but
Mm.
what so that was an isolated situation, right?
Yeah.
My case, it's like, hey, we see a pattern.
Yeah.
You told me I can,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
just really hard to fight. So my case is really difficult.
Yeah.
Unless a miracle happens. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, and I want to say a couple things, but on that point specifically, I think a lot about these situations, right? And when hosts, and I've heard from a few people, nothing quite like this, to be honest. This is the first time I've had anyone on the podcast who's had this experience
yeah,
at this level. And but people talk to me offline about some things and some issues here and there. But I think what's common between your story and the other stories I've heard is there just isn't a lot of clarity, right? Around like, hey, what do I need to do differently? Or like in your case, okay, hey, maybe Airbnb doesn't like the fact that from January to March, just so happened a bunch of guests damaged a bunch of properties and you submitted a lot of claims, right? To fix those issues, right?
yep,
You can't control when the crazy, get maybe it was the winter. It was a crazy winter. People were, stuck. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what was going on in people's minds, right? But people were being a little bit crazy, right? For a couple months. It just could be total coincidence. Even if it wasn't coincidence, right? And even if you weren't the honest person that you were, that I know you are, and you had submitted claims that were exaggerated or whatever, right? Even if that was true, you would expect Airbnb to say, "Hey, buddy, FYI, kind of a lot of money you've been asking for. We're gonna be watching this like over the next couple months here. Just please be very specific and very clear, and just a friendly reminder that like this is our policy around submitting these claims, and this is what needs to have happened. Something like that to just alert you to the fact that oh wow, okay, like let me just double down on this. You're a busy guy. You're doing zillions of things, right? Not everyone knows how much it's going to cost to replace a felt pool table cover or what have you, right? You and your team are doing the best that you can to make good decisions, ask for reimbursements, right? When damage does take place, you would expect the platform, right, to take a little bit more responsibility and effective communication with great hosts like yourself, because at the end of the day, Airbnb wants to retain great hospitality entrepreneurs. They should want to retain great property managers like yourself. So it's just disappointing, quite frankly, that
it's
a
very
company
disappointing.
at that scale and at that size doesn't have clearer communication
Yep.
and clearer warning signs, and literally is seemingly okay with shutting down someone's entire business, even though there's no evidence, and even though all the evidence that you do have and that you've submitted, right, have been within policy. It is truly jarring.
So where it gets sticky, I think, is situations where I mentioned earlier, like you have your countertop, and it's like, oh no, that's a burn mark. I could see
Yeah,
them go through some of my photos and say that and say, okay, I can totally understand what you're saying there. I
yeah,
get it.
yeah. It looks like it. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I get it,
yeah.
but
It happened.
it happened. And I'm not going to go submit false claims. That's not how I
Yeah,
operate.
yeah,
Um, does it mean that there's not a temptation to inflate stuff? Of course.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have I
Of course.
inflated stuff? I mean, I was just talking to my wife. It's like, well, maybe on this one I said $6 when maybe really it could have been $5. but then it could be argued that it was $7.
Yeah.
Like, come on. But
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
dollars. Like, it wasn't like 5 versus 2 million or whatever you want to
Yeah.
put in there. It's not like I am
Yeah.
going and purposefully submitting false claims.
Yeah.
Now, I would
No.
say this:
No.
there was one claim that I submitted one time. Later, I'm like, oh, and they actually denied it, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Later, I was like, oh, I misunderstood what actually happened here
Yeah.
with this situation. I was actually wrong,
Yeah.
but it wasn't fraudulent.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a mistake, and they
It was an
denied it. And
honest
fine,
mistake.
okay,
Yeah.
fine, and we move on. Done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just good grief. You got to be kidding
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And it is this thing of this incredible vision
Yeah.
that I feel like I have, and it's not about I have it. It's
Yeah.
more like
It's been given
that
to
is an
you.
incredible vision, and I actually find myself looking
Yeah.
at this vision, and it's like God gave this to me,
Yeah.
and I humbly am being the steward of it.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, look at the great vision. Like, that's not even how I'm looking at it. It's more
Yeah.
like, this is an amazing vision,
Yeah.
but I don't know what to do with it now.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
my whole
yeah.
life is roller coaster right now.
Yeah. I bet, man. I think a lot about, you know, moments in life where it really does feel like everything's against you, right? And
It does.
one of the things that I think a lot about too is just that, hey, if God, in your context, right, like if God does in fact want you to execute on this vision, right? It's going to happen. Now, the way that it happens, who knows? Maybe you needed to offload your entire portfolio for whatever reason, right? So that you could build some, he and you together could build something new, right? To build something greater. There's a chance. What people say, what people say all the time, like God works in mysterious ways, right?
His wonders
And
should
I don't know.
perform. Yep.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But right, like if there's one thing that I've learned about you in our chat just now, and of course our earlier podcast is, you're very honest, you're very open,
I try
and you're
to.
very
And here's
creative.
actually the way that here's where it hit me in the gut.
Yeah,
I'm Amish.
yeah,
There's an
yeah,
internal pride about being honest.
exactly.
Unlike some of America, it's like if I get away with it, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Now, I'm
yeah,
not going to say I have lived perfectly, that I do everything perfectly, that
of
there aren't
course.
times when I need to be called in the check. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that. And even
yeah,
sometimes my wife will say, "Hey, are you sure on this?"
yeah,
And I appreciate her for that. And it's like,
yeah.
okay, I received that. It's like I have to look at that
You're
again.
human.
But
You're Amish, but you're still human.
correct, but blatant fraud, blatant like deception.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, you kicked the wrong guy in the gut.
yeah,
But to
yeah,
be and someone said, yeah, the people that this happens to, they feel like criminals.
yeah,
I feel like a criminal. I literally went through a
yeah,
morality crisis.
yeah.
Wait, am I an awful guy?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just, and it almost makes me cry. It was that painful. It's
yeah,
like, you gotta be
yeah,
kidding me. You're hitting me in financially, and you're hitting me in my identity as a person.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
just the awfulest feeling.
yeah.
And
Oh,
and I'm
geez.
a
Yeah.
guy, I go down fast and I go down
Mm,
deep, but I pop right
mm,
back out of it.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
I mean, still difficult, but it's just
You're very aware. Yeah,
excruciating.
yeah.
Excruciating.
You're very
But
aware.
anyway, you
Yeah.
were saying something, I kind of jumped in, interjected this.
No, no, no. And I think there are a couple final things I want to say. One is I just hear. I don't know if you know Mark Simpson from Boostly at all,
Yeah,
but
I
I
emailed
hear
him.
I hear Mark in my ear right now and in my head being like, "See, Zach, this is why we can't be overly reliant on Airbnb." And I just want to shout out Mark and all the other great people who I respect, entrepreneurs in the space who are very very bullish on building direct booking strategies. And again, I think that this is one of those stories where it's like, hey, you know, think very clearly about the kind of business that you are building and
Yep.
that you want to build, and maybe make sure, right, to the best, especially in this day and age where if you, I get if you were an operator that started, years ago, and or if you, host out of your home, and or maybe just have like one stay, whatever it is, like it might not make sense to do all the extra work to build up a social following,
Yeah,
to build up a direct booking site,
yeah,
right? Like, but if you want, even if this isn't your full time thing yet, if you want it to be, if you desire to build a hospitality brand, if you desire to be a good hospitality entrepreneur, you know, any good business person, right, understands that there are threats to your business, right? There are risks. There are
very
also
aware
threats.
now.
There are threats, right? And like good business people, you can't avoid threats, you can't avoid risks, right? But you can mitigate them.
You can
And I
minimize
think
them.
that,
You can't mitigate
and yeah,
completely. You can minimize.
you're right. You're right.
Yep.
Yes. And I think that the reality is that this is a great story, a great reminder, to everybody listening in, right? That hey, while there are so many great things about this platform, there are so many incredible things that this brand has done. Like at the end of the day, they have a business to protect, right? Is how I'm sure that they see it, and a reputation to protect. And so do you. You have a business and you have a reputation to protect. So protect it. But the last thing I just want to say, Elam, is there anything folks listening to this, the behind the scenes listeners, is there anything we can do? Is there any way we can help? Like
Yeah.
I really appreciate you speaking so honestly and so candidly. And I think that this story, quite frankly, is going to be wonderfully instrumental and quite frankly, very helpful for entrepreneurs that are building their own businesses right now. But is there anything we can do to support you during this time?
Yeah. And I'll get to that question, but I'd like to make a couple remarks. And I think you are right in that for the most part, it's not worth, if you're a small person, to build your direct booking strategy
Yeah.
unless you have something very unique.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
it might
Yeah.
be, right?
Yeah.
Because it does take a lot. I'm sure, I don't know how much it takes because we haven't done it. I wish we would
Yeah.
have, but we haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does become a bit negligible for, like, we have some properties here, just, it's an apartment in a small town. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's barely worth it.
Yeah.
Um,
No one's gonna like, yeah, Google search something
no,
for a keyword that would be relevant
no,
to booking that.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
little. But then there's, so Mark is right that on a personal level, you should think about it because you could
Yeah.
get caught in a
Yeah.
situation like I'm in, where now you have a mess, a financial
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah.
So there's that part. There's also the part of where, like, if you look on the macro level,
Yeah.
is it worth it? Because Airbnb is not going to take all their hosts down.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously, right?
Yeah.
So from a macro level, so it's important to realize that. So you're speaking from a macro level that a
Yeah.
direct booking strategy isn't worth it.
Yeah.
Whereas Mark Simpson, and I actually emailed him, I told him what happened, and he actually did a Facebook post. If you want to pop
Yeah.
on my Facebook page and share it, that'd be awesome, because I really want people
Yeah.
to actually hear about this.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I think you both have an angle,
Yeah.
and it's kind of realizing where the angles are. For us, are we going to be able to just VRBO and Booking.com and TripAdvisor and all
Yeah.
those places? Maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Yeah.
But I can't be trying this for a year because I am
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
By then
Yeah.
we don't have enough runway
Yeah.
to make it work that long. Um,
Yeah.
so, and then is there anything that people can do? I mean, here's where I'm at with this whole thing. I'm trying to figure out the next step. Is it just a pivot inside of the business?
Yeah.
Although, if you go to my Facebook post, you'll see, and I wrote it on Memorial Day, sent it out on Memorial Day. Today is a day of remembering and
Mm.
laying to rest my 7-year-old child.
Mm. Jeez. Jeez, man. Yeah.
And I
That
literally did.
hits.
I went to the
Yeah.
graveyard and symbolically surrendered it.
Wow. Jeez, man. You're gonna make me cry.
I know, right?
Jeez.
And I'm sorry. It's very touching for me. And
Yeah.
I keep going back to the graveyard. Just,
Yeah.
okay, I'm
Wow.
fine with this. I don't have
Wow.
to succeed here.
Yeah.
But sheesh,
Yeah.
I don't want a financial disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
anyway,
Is there? I mean, so again, I don't want to be too I don't want to jump the gun here or be too practical or whatever here, but like if if folks are interested in sort of like I don't know, partnering and or buying some of these assets from you, like is that something that you're thinking about and or considering right now, or like if someone is moved by this experience and is thinking, oh my gosh, I feel like I might have an idea or a
Sure.
solution or something, can they just email you? Is that the best way to get
Or
in
go to
touch?
my Facebook page and message me. Sure. I mean, sure, email me.
Okay.
Yeah, if you. But yeah, I don't care. Here's the awesome thing about. Again, I said all my other areas of my life are improving right now. It's ironic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have been incredibly like almost taken
Yeah.
aback at
Yeah.
the kindness. Like I have expected some people to say, people that might not know me well say,
Yeah.
or maybe people I've had conflict with in the past. I mean, look, we all have those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Or even
Yeah.
people there's people of whom we're managing their properties that are suffering right alongside of me.
Of course.
Their
Yeah.
revenue is
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
All of them
Yeah. They're
have
like, "We
been
trusted you." Yeah.
have been gracious, understanding, and
Hmm.
like they're with me.
Wow.
It's incredible. And
Yeah.
our whole church knows what's going on. A lot of people know what's going on, and
Yeah.
everyone's upset
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
But what can behind the stage listeners do? I am okay losing out. I mean, it's tough. I'm okay losing out, and
Yeah.
I'm not even saying I am going to lose out. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we might come back stronger and more powerful, and just, I mean,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen? Um, but I, I just want people to know,
Hmm.
no one is
Yeah.
inoculated from a tragedy like this.
Yeah.
Will it happen to
Yeah.
everyone who listens? Absolutely not. Is
Yeah.
there some people who it couldn't happen to? It could,
Yeah.
because Airbnb is not being partial at all.
Yeah.
It can look, we were super hosts. We had, those new badges, guest favorite on some of our properties,
Yeah.
like
Jeez. Yeah.
10,000
Yeah.
stays or approximately.
Yeah.
Like there was people maybe who had better ratings, but just by increments.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it can happen to the
Yeah.
best. Not saying we were the
Yeah.
best. I mean, again, there's hosts who have better ratings. Like ours was like 4.8 average. There
Yeah,
might
but
be that
that's very
4.9, like
respectable.
whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it can
There's
happen
hosts with a
to
lot worse than that. Yeah.
it can happen
Yeah.
to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so I just want people to know. I want people to be aware. I mean, I've had even people say to me, "It's like, yeah, this whole Airbnb thing is not worth it." Blah 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 blah. There's so many
Yeah.
problems. I'm not there.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm at a point
Yeah.
right now. It's like, sheesh, I don't even want to be involved with this company at all. In
Yeah.
fact, my
Yeah.
wife had
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
saying, "Can't you get rid of Airbnb somehow? They're causing so much grief."
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
have this last year. It's just
Yeah.
frustration after frustration. Like,
Yeah.
guys, stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so there's that
Wow.
part. I want people to be aware. The other thing is, I actually had an interview yesterday with WGAL.
Okay. Which is
Um,
a local is that a local radio
it
station?
is, and it's
Okay.
an NBC affiliate.
Okay.
So they're
Okay.
connected.
Yeah.
Um, and I, there's one part of me that wants to go to the news and spout off and just rant on Airbnb.
Yeah.
The emotion's there. And
Yeah.
here's the thing: I am not a cursing person, but if there
Yeah.
ever was a time in my life when I felt like cursing, like it was like sometimes on the tip of my tongue. Yeah,
Yeah.
trust me, I'm
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
I might
You're
have a
there,
moral compass that keeps me
but
from
you're still.
doing that. I am nonetheless human. So, and the
Yeah.
thing of wanting to just go out there and rant on Airbnb and trash them, the
Yeah.
temptation's there,
Of course.
but I'm
Of course.
refusing to do it.
Yeah.
But that does
Wow.
not mean I don't tell my story and I say what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
that I'm going to rather aggressively find ways. Like yesterday, someone hit me up, says, "Hey, Elam," and she has a pretty large following. Would you be willing to
Yeah.
do a YouTube interview? I said, I'll take
Yeah.
anything right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to get it
And
out there.
my
Yeah.
motives there are twofold. Hey, Airbnb, I get why
Yeah.
I understand how you got to this point,
Yeah.
but I think you made a misjudgment.
A huge mistake.
Can
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
literally? I would
Yeah.
if Brian Chesky would give me a chance to shake his hand and have a good conversation. I would. I
Yeah.
might say,
Yeah.
dude, please,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
ain't right. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to say you jerk. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my approach, and
Yeah.
hey, take this, share it, go to my
Yeah.
Facebook page, share it. If you have
Yeah.
ideas, reach out to me.
Yeah. We will. I mean,
Am
Elam,
I considering selling some of our properties? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not at a point of
Well,
desperation where I sell it for any price at this point, but it's like,
yeah.
am I better off selling it than continuing with it? That's kind of where it's at right
Yeah.
now. By the
Yeah.
way,
Well,
the hotel we talked about just got under
yeah.
contract a couple of days ago.
Oh,
And I am
geez.
going
Of
to deal with it.
course. Of
By the way, you
course.
don't need Airbnb for a hotel,
That's true.
but
That's true.
yeah. And there's other ways.
But you do need,
Maybe we
you do need money. You do need a team. So yeah,
yeah,
I feel for you, man.
give it to
I
someone else to manage. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
there is an aspect to it. And I would encourage you to go read that post that I did on Facebook. It is the death of a dream
Yeah.
and a path forward.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to look. I'm literally taking one day at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, hey, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time, and I'm thankful for you sharing your story. This has been very moving. And again, I really feel for you. And I will have a link to your Facebook post in the show notes below. I'll have an email linked so folks want to reach out and or just hear a little bit more and or share an idea with you. They can do so. But
Yep.
I'm very, very, very sorry. This sucks. It's horrible. And I really do hope that Airbnb. I hope that this conversation goes a little viral and that Airbnb might even get wind of it, and maybe there's some reconciliation, some miraculous reconciliation. Who knows that might take place. But thanks so much for your
I would
time, man.
honestly love to go talk to Brian Chesky and just have a cordial,
Yeah.
friendly conversation. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm a business person. You're a business person. Can we talk? Maybe we can even do
All
something.
right, Brian. you heard the man.
Yep.
Brian, Elam wants to talk. Well, thanks for your time, dude.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and all the best.